Morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Corporation's Township of Puslinch, October 8th, 2025. I'll start with roll call. Councillor Bailey.
Present.
Councillor Hurst.
Present.
Councillor Goyda. And Councillor Spillis.
Present.
Speeds are a moment of reflection. Lose our moment of reflection. Ms. White Fox, you have confirmation of the agenda, please.
The council approves the October 8th, 2025 agenda and addendum as circulated, and the council approves the additions to the agenda as follows. Consent item 6.1.7, questions received from council, seeking additional information, and the corresponding responses provided by staff. And item 14.4, confidential report regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board in relation to a potential OLT appeal.
May I move for that, please? Councillor Hurst, Councillor Bailey, any questions or comments on that?
Nope.
All in favor? It's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Seeing none. Maybe we're going right into consent agenda. Resolution for that, please.
The consent agenda items listed for October 8th, council meeting could be received for information.
And move it, please. Councillor Spillis, Councillor Bailey. Any items to be pulled out? Councillor Bailey.
6.16, City of Dryden.
6.16.
16, yeah.
Okay. Sir, anything?
No, just ones that got caught in the Q&A.
That's fair.
Yes, 6.5, 6.7, 6.12, 6.17.
We'll see the balance of those information, please. In favor? That's carried. Councillor Bailey, 6.16.
Yeah, I just pulled 6.16, City of Dryden. And I was just proposing that we support the City of Dryden motion urging the province and the Ministry of Education to incorporate mandatory water safety and swim to survive training into the elementary school curriculum. I know a good 7 years ago it was in the curriculum. And just short story, I know at the time of a few students that did not know how to swim. And it was really kind of cool how the whole class stood there and clapped and guided and helped this kid get from one end to the next. And you think, there you go, there's a kid that, you know, could have been near water, could have, you know, it could have been a bad situation, but now he's had this sort of training or this learning to swim to survive. And because it was in the curriculum. So I myself was wondering where it is, and I like that the City of Dryden's kind of brought this forward. So I guess I'm just proposing that we support their motion.
That's good. That's a life skill.
I'll support that.
Do you have a resolution to support the?
Yes, so it'll be to support it and send the correspondence accordingly.
So moved by Councillor Bailey, can I get a seconder? Councillor Hurst, further comments? All in favor? That's carried. All right, Councillor Spillis.
6.5M, MO policy on automatic speed enforcement. I'd like to move a motion that we fill out the proposed motion by AMO, and there's a clause in there that says the municipality may add their own comments. So I'd like to suggest that we add the following comments: as whereas an automatic speed enforcement camera has been installed at Fort Puslinch in a community safety zone at Brock Road with daily traffic excess of 25,000, and whereas parents who walk the children to school must cross Brock Road, and whereas traffic speed violations of Brock Road have significantly been reduced with the introduction of the automatic speed enforcement camera. I'm going to carry on with the rest of the motion as presented.
Sure, let's move. Can I get a seconder? We'll discuss Councillor Hurst. Councillor Bailey.
No, I am in full support. I saw that as well, and glad that Councillor Spillis pulled that out.
Good. Yeah, I'm supportive of it. I don't know if members here have seen it. There was a letter that was signed by 20 odd mayors sent to the premier around requesting that premier not cancel the program, and then ultimately the premier responded and stood fast on his position that we will be canceling the program, which is unfortunate.
Hmm.
I think that program could have been tweaked, but really focused on the monetary penalty that residents are facing, and it's just a hurdle. It doesn't seem that we can get past, but I think this is important. We shall put our support behind the program. It is working in Aberfoyle. Not off topic, but myself and Councillor Duncan met with MPP Rasinski around the automated speed enforcement. And that meeting was last Friday. And I just reiterated our support for the program. I also indicated to him about the amount of children that walk back and forth across that road twice a day. The speed reduction that we have had due to the cameras, so I made sure our MPP was informed on the effects of that program and how it's made it safer for our community, and see what happens when this, I don't know if the government is sitting yet or not, but I believe we're going to table that legislation shortly, so hopefully they have a reconsideration of their position. All right, anyways.
I just want to make sure that our MPP is added to the list of distribution, the County of Wellington. Other municipalities. Name as well.
All fair, it's carried. 7 next.
Yeah, Blue Water Recycling Association regarding proposed amendments to Resource Recovery and Circulation Economy Act. I asked a question with respect to our commercial properties have a similar issue, and basically the way I understand the response was that our small businesses in Aberfoyle and Morriston would have the same issue. So, Mr. Mayor, I was wondering if you can sort of provide some information what's happening at the county with respect to this issue, and do we need as council to do something to support it's being done?
So when the producer responsibility was coming down the pipe, there was a lot of discussion at the county about supporting our small businesses. I was very much so driven by Warden White. And what the county initiated was a taxpayer funded collection within, this is where I may get my details mixed up, but the downtown cores as identified. So I believe it mirrored wherever the CIP program would be applicable. If your business was in those, then, and the county used the money that we would be saving from not being in the recycling business any longer. The county went through an engagement process, and businesses were able to partake or not. Some did, some didn't. And then what we were encountering was that some businesses were placing their blue boxes out on the street in residential areas, and they were being picked up voluntarily by the PRO, Producer Responsibility, as an organization, whatever the O means. I mean, Councilor Harrison knows what the O means, I don't. And I just forwarded an email to all council and Ms. White Fox this morning that came in yesterday or the day before, where the minister speaks specifically to that, where the PRO was picking up these small business recycling blue boxes voluntarily, and they're going to cease. The county is working and the PRO to see how a service could be provided. But as of a couple of days ago, this voluntary pickup is going to cease if they're not. And then the county, I assume, will have to look at whether we want to expand that service that we've been providing to the downtown cores as identified to larger. So that's where it is with the county. Now they have confirmation that this voluntary pickup is now ceasing. How do we serve these small businesses? So they're working on it, is the best I can say.
So the county's working on it, so we expect something come through for them.
Yes, I would say it's fair.
Just to add to that, I think I read somewhere that the county though is allowing the businesses to come and drop off free of charge.
Correct. They can also get a waiver ticket.
Yeah.
And in that email from the minister, the PRO does indicate that if some municipalities, I believe, run depots in northern Ontario versus trucks and the PRO is indicating that if small businesses were to take their materials to the recycling depot, that the PRO would just collect whatever material is there, not try to differentiate between the residential versus ICI sector. I don't feel that's applicable to us because we don't have depots. So there are options. They can get I believe at the transfer station, they can get that waiver to get.
Three brief points. So, the first one, I know the township staff have done a lot of work trying to reach out to local businesses through the community engagement. Is this an opportunity, maybe, a question for you, Courtney or Justine? Is this an opportunity to attempt to be proactive with some of these small businesses in the community to help them understand the situation and what may be forthcoming to alleviate frustrations? I've heard some people just reach out to me over the last couple of weeks with like, what is going on here type of thing. So that might be just an opportunity to, I'm not saying get ahead of it, but at least inform them. There's always that value of sharing information. And then the second piece being this permit. Not sure how many of them are aware of that option, based on the ones I talked to, weren't. And then the third one, maybe when the point in time where it is appropriate, could we have the county waste management services delegate just to provide an update, like it's not an opportunity to say we're working on it. I don't want to hear that. Or what I would like to know is here's the path forward type of thing. Again, I don't know what the timing is with that. They have a lot of work to get through, but that would be of value to me.
So you, Mr. Chair, can add to this, if we're receiving this for information, I can add that staff investigate opportunities to increase public awareness. And we can take that away and see what we can do.
I think even hopefully that awareness is just getting them in contact with the appropriate people at the county. And because at the county, we need to hear from the people that are affected and what their needs are if we build this program in. So.
Mayor, I think, Councilor brings up the point that we should have a county delegate here as well. Once we get a little bit further ahead and what they're planning to do, for us to have that information conveyed to our businesses.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is, once the program is relatively built out, so we know what the information we can push out. All right. Good one. Favor. 612.
Yes, so this is, Milton had, a deputation from the, Enbridge. And, I wasn't aware that there's possibly a phase 3 and they had an intensive, motion put forward where they support phase 3. My motion basically piggybacks on what they've said, basically copied verbatim and adds in, something specific to us that we have a draft OPA, which identified employment lands, which identified future residential lands. And I think it's important that we continue to support this and be noticed by Enbridge that we really want natural gas expansion into Bushman. So my motion is in that regard. And as well, I'd like to suggest that we ask them to delegate as well, Enbridge, to tell us what else can we do to stoke the fire, so to speak, to get them interested in providing some consumers gas service or natural gas service to us.
So do you have a prepared motion? You can read it?
And it was also included in the Q&A. It's lengthy, but I can read it.
No,
Okay,
let's provide it for the public.
yes.
Yeah, the only clause you may want to read is that piece that I've added in there with respect to the our plans for the future. It's about halfway down.
So is it sorry,
OPA,
yes, and I think that was also included in the Q&A as well.
okay.
Yes, the full thing is included.
So we'll move by you, Councilor
Yes.
Lewis, seconder, please. Yours. Excellent. Bailey.
Yeah, nothing got it. Great.
Yours.
Yeah, great add-on, like I kind of look at the employment land study, to me, that's the real point for me is make sure that all those lands have adequate service and then build it from there.
I've been an advocate for natural gas, even at the county level, there's probably seen them push to transition homeowners to heat pumps. Just like electrification for your energy needs, and I've reiterated many times that power is very expensive in the rural. So heat pumps, in my opinion, they serve a role in the appropriate place where power is affordable. The transmission rates are high in the rural. I think natural gas is a very valuable option, and I know our community desires it, so I continue to advocate for that. So I'm very supportive of this. I agree. I think the delegation from Enbridge would be great information, and then if there's anything we can do to help, any projects move along, and I'd be willing to have those discussions for sure, so. Appreciate you capturing that, Councilor Lewis, so, all in favor? It's carried. The next one, 617.
Yes, this is, City Kitchener is, considering cost recovery for people billing for tax utility bills. In asking for staff for comments, based on the comments, I come to the conclusion that we still have to continue with the paper billing. But what caught my attention was we are issuing monthly tax arrear statements that range from $400 to $982 per month, and that's somewhere around about $9,000 a year. And it's the rest of the taxpayers who pay their stuff on time footing this bill for all these late payment people. I appreciate there might be some people who are in difficult times, but I suspect the majority of people just all pay next time type of thing. So I'd like to suggest we ask staff to look into what can be done to have the delinquent payers pay for the actual costs associated with mailing the information and adding it back to them.
Okay, moved by you, pay a seconder, please, Councilor Hurst. Staff, do you want to comment on that at all?
So if you, Mr. Chair, will bring back, what I have is that council will direct staff to bring back a report regarding options to incorporate a surcharge for paper billings associated with mailing costs for monthly penalty notices for unpaid property taxes.
Perfect. Okay, Councilor Bailey.
No, just my first thought was I fully support that. I think, like Councilor Secola said, like folks paying on time should not be kind of flipping paying the bill for the costs that are, or the payments that are coming in late. Just not sure if folks that are paying late are the ones that can't afford any more service charges or something. So if there's a concern with not being able to pay, I think that needs to be part of the conversation.
Councilor Hurst.
Yeah, gender supportive, if there's a policy internally that allows for a mechanism like that to happen, maybe just to kind of piggyback and Councilor Bailey's comment, maybe it triggers after 90 days or something of that nature where you it's a stepwise process, but I think in theory I'm supportive of it.
I agree. We see the report at a high level. I'm supportive of it. I think that if this is mimicking other parts of the corporation, the building department works on whoever receives the service, they pay the fees, and this is a service that, whether they like that service or not is a different conversation, but I agree. I don't know if the regular taxpayer should be funding $10,000 a year to people that aren't able to, especially with the many options we have to take. And so, yeah, I look forward to that conversation, and maybe there's a graduated scale, maybe not, but staff can agree with that. So, all in favor? It's carried. I believe that was the last one, was it?
This one is
All right. We've got some reading to do. Steve, would you mind reading these bulletin minutes out for me? That's the right answer. That's fine. I will. All right. Public meeting, October 8th, 2025 at 7 P.M. Public information session held in person at the municipal office, 7404 Wellington Road 34. And by electronic participation through Zoom regarding zoning bylaw amendment, application D14 AUD. Property location known as parts lot 17, 18, and 19, concession 8. So that's tonight at 7 P.M. October 29th, 2025 at 7 P.M. Public information meeting held in person at the municipal office, 7404 Wellington Road 34. And by electronic participation through Zoom regarding site alteration application P11 HBC property location municipally known as 7504 McLean Road East, Township of Puslinch. November 19th, 2025 at 5:30 P.M. Open house held in person at the Puslinch Community Center, that's 23 Brock Road South. 2026-2030 strategic plan engagement. November 19th, 2025 at 7 P.M. Public information meeting held in person at the Puslinch Community Center, 23 Brock Road South. And by electronic participation through Zoom regarding zoning bylaw application D14/DAN, that's Danby. Property location municipally known as 4631 Side Road 20 North, Township of Puslinch. November 20th, 2025 at 7 P.M. Public information meeting held in person at the Puslinch Community Center, 23 Brock Road South, and by electronic participation through Zoom regarding zoning bylaw amendment applications D14 DAA. Property municipally known as 7456 McLean Road West /197 Brock Road South, Township of Puslinch. D14 Ontario, Earl, property location municipally known as 6678 Wellington Road 34, Township of Puslinch. I believe that's it. Phew. All right. What are we on to in the finance department, right? 9.2.1. Who's presenting this? Ms. Hassan? Sarah, would you do me a big favor? Turn that TV a little bit towards this way, since there's nobody in the gallery. That's the one I always look at for. That's better. Perfect. Thank you. Morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me. Is this the development charges report or the surplus report?
Development charges, cash in lieu parkland.
Perfect. Good morning, council. This is one of our annual reporting requirements in accordance with the Development Charges Act and the Planning Act to provide a financial statement of our DCs and cash in lieu of parkland as of December 31st, 2024. I'd welcome any of council's questions. Some of the reporting obligations have become more significant just with the changes to the Planning Act and the Development Charges Act over the last few years. And so that's why it's a little bit of a longer report with a lot more analysis than previous years, but I'd be happy to answer any of council's questions.
Get married. Read the resolution.
So it's to receive for information.
All right, can you move, please, Councilor Spillis, Councilor Bailey? Any questions for Mrs. Sand?
I do.
You do?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mary. I'm just wondering if you can speak to the fact there was quite a difference between predicted capital expenditures from the DC background study versus the estimated expenditures. So I'm just wondering if you can speak to kind of the difference in that, and if we're still relying on the DC background study to be guiding us, even when it doesn't seem all that accurate.
Well, no, it is accurate. There are some provisions in the background study that relate to upcoming master plans that council has on the go in the near future. And so we put those provisions in there just to allow us to be able to recoup those costs through after those master plans have been approved and after we've incorporated them in the capital budget and forecast. Schedule D of the report does explain what some of those provisions include in our various departments. And so they will be incorporated in the capital budget and forecast after they've been approved through council through those extensive processes.
Okay, I guess I was just getting at the fact that there seemed to be a high estimate using the background study. But then as we go along, things seem to be a little more closer to the actual. So it just seems like the background study is can't use the word accurate. It's not as close to the actuals. Yet we're still relying on it.
Yes, so there was a report to council about some of those provisions in the background study. But a lot of them have to do with the master plans that are coming forward in the near future. I think the report was presented on June 18th, 2025, and it was a report that we presented. But we also do have an update to the background study occurring in 2027 after the completion of the council approved master plans. And so that may result in a revision to the background study.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that would be good. Thanks.
Councilor Hurst?
No questions. Is a very detailed report.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Something that's come up, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time to talk about it, but Senator Wellington just had battery energy storage facility be approved, and through that process, they entered into a community benefit charge agreement with that development. And then I'm doing some high level Googling late at night. It requires the township or whatever body to do a community benefit charge strategy, which I know, you know, you understand all this. So from what I'm hearing is, we did our DC studies. Memory tells me, you know, there's a window that you can reopen it to do some fine tuning, which sounds like what you're talking about now, you know, 27. Is this a window that we should be taking an opportunity to do a community benefit charge as well? Or can it be a
Yes.
standalone type thing?
So we did have our development charges consultant provide us with their input on the community benefits charges strategy, and there was very specific type of development that would allow us to have such a strategy. I believe it was high density development with 10 or more stories. There's different wording in the act. But that is definitely something that I can speak to with Ms. Hoyt Fox about, and also discuss with our development charges consultant to see if that's a possibility here at the township. But there is very specific development that's in the Planning Act that would be eligible for that.
And I tend to agree with you on a high level, because when you first read it, it says about the 10 stories or more and things of that. Well, battery storage facility does not have 10 stories. It does not have high density. It was approved in the prime ag. So I would request staff to engage Senator Wellington, because if we're getting an opinion that it only applies to this very narrow development, how is it applied in Senator Wellington? And I'd like to investigate that. Some of the growth that we have coming to our community constantly has impacts on these as a way to recruit. So I just don't want to get pigeonholed in the 10-story thing. If it's possible, it can be applied to other growth.
Mr. Chair, if I add to this resolution that council directs staff to investigate the community benefits charge, as we're working through the development charges background study review for 2027, I think that will make sure that it stays on the list.
The only thing I would be worried about is that it has to happen in that window for DCs. So I don't want, I'm just trying not to put more on you. I'll leave it with you.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's great, because then we can at least know if we need to do it ASAP or if we have some time or whatever the situation may be. So just throwing that CBC thing into the room, so I'm just give everybody an opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I only found out about it with battery energy storage, because it came to county council that it was part of the agreement with Senator Wellington, and that's when I started Googling stuff, so. It's similar to parkland dedication fee. It's for certain growth, and it's an additional way of collecting money
Cool.
if there's impacts to your community, so. Yes. Okay, so we'll hear from staff. All right. So that's to, what was the resolution changing?
Yes, so through Mr. Chair, is to receive it, but also that staff bring back a report just outlining how that a community benefits charge can be utilized for the township.
Okay, we gonna move it a second.
We do.
Okay. That's carried. Thank you, Mrs. Sand. Now we're on to the township general surplus.
Okay, so this is also another annual report that's provided to council based on the surplus that was noted in our final audited financial statements. And I've incorporated some of the information in the budget development and control policy in terms of how this surplus has been allocated in the past and what that policy indicates. I'd be happy to answer any of council's questions.
Received, yeah, go ahead.
That council, received the report and that the twenty twenty-four general surplus amount of $29,907 be allocated to the asset management discretionary reserve in accordance with council resolution 2019-347.
Okay, move it please. Schools, Councilors, questions or comments? Really, no?
I did just have one question, Mary. Just it seemed that there were a lot of unanticipated professional fees throughout the report that sort of highlighted it, which was a reason for some of the deficits. And I'm just wondering if staff have adjusted that moving forward into 2026.
Yeah, so we did use these actuals when determining our 2026 budget, and so where it made sense, we did adjust for it, yes.
That was my only question.
And no questions for me. I thought the report was very, very robust. So thanks for that, Mary.
Thank you very much.
No questions, very good report.
The only question I would have for staff is, I see that the direction to put it into the asset management discretionary reserve, which I'm still supportive of, is from a council resolution from 2019. So we're gonna be going into a third iteration of council, and we're gonna, you'll be referencing back to a decision from, so in the 27 term, you'll be referencing 2 terms prior. Is there something that we do internally that just look at some of these direction and bring them back to the new iteration of council just to freshen it up? So I'm not suggesting day one of the new iteration of council, but I feel some of these directions from council that we're pointing to that are 5, 6, 7 years old in that next term should be reviewed just to make it a little more up to date. Does that make sense?
Can I just speak to it in terms of the budget development and control policy? The policy does say that resolution, but it also says or to another discretionary reserve based on council's direction. So that flexibility is there for this specific item.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just feel that the next iteration of council that's coming in end of 26, 27 should be giving staff this direction again, just to freshen it up. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So through Mr. Chair, I think staff can take this away and look at it. We do a report that's coming on your next agenda around the budget process. So just refreshing councils for that. I can speak with our director to see if it is a good opportunity to sort of include a lot of these items and maybe attach the policy that we have. That way there's an opportunity on an annual basis. If there's things that council wants to look at, you can and make those changes.
Yeah, I see it more as a housekeeping thing. We've seen some bylaws that
Update the resolution.
it's very simple, but just be a little fresh. Okay. Do we have a move for second? Okay, all in favor? It's carried. All right, on to 9.4.1. I see somebody rolling up their sleeves. Oh, it's over here. Is he the? It's both, okay.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to provide council with staff's recommendations regarding alternative vote methods for the 2026 municipal and school board election that's scheduled for Monday, October 6, 2026. So staff are recommending that vote by mail be selected as the voting method for the 2026 municipal and school board election. The vote by mail method will be supplemented by in-person options through having voter assistance and voter drop-off locations. The decision on vote counting and alternative vote methods has to be made by May 1st in the year of the election, but staff are recommending this decision be made in the year before the election to ensure sufficient time for proper planning and budgeting to take place, as well as retirement and to answer questions.
All right. You want to read the resolution?
Sure. So to receive the report and that the alternative voting method of vote by mail be approved for the 2026 election, and that staff declare a bylaw to be approved at the October 29th, 2025 council meeting.
Councilors, Spoulos, Councilors, questions or comments? Councilor Baylor.
So for clarification, because the word alternate is throwing me off a little bit. So the typical way to vote in my head is to walk into a space, get a piece of paper, put your X and walk out. Or you could also alternatively vote by mail. Is that what we're suggesting, or are we replacing walking in the door, putting your X by voting through the mail?
Through you, Mr. Chair, by selecting an alternate voting method, it means that you're selecting a method other than the typical in-person voting method, so this would be a replacement of that voting method, so
I
we would
can-
help offer.
Yeah, I just wanted that clarification.
Either or.
I've had some conversations about this, so the primary means of voting will be vote by mail. Staff will be setting up a voting station here where they can walk in the door and do your traditional, grab your piece of paper, exit. What they're transitioning away from is the voting centers that are very costly to staff. Mostly staff, but so that would be no longer utilized, the location to come and vote, and I maybe speak to that, so when we
Yeah.
here and.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the idea of the voter assistance and voter drop-off locations is that when we have those available, well, we're gonna schedule for that. There will be one at the Morriston Nursing Home as we have done in past years for advanced voting. Many Lakes will have kind of a similar advanced day the day of. You would bring your, if you wanted to, everyone will be issued a voter mail kit. You could bring it to the office. We'll have a spot that's private where if people would like to mark them, they're welcome to do that. You'll still be using that voter mail kit, and then they'll drop it off in a secure drop box at the office.
Okay.
So it just eliminates some of the, like selecting of the ballots. That's all done through this vote by mail process. We don't have to issue ballots, check IDs. That's kind of all done through this prior process, but we still have that in-person voter assistance opportunity. If there was something wrong with the ballot that was issued through your vote by mail kit, a new ballot could be issued for you by staff. So we're kind of offering supplemental in-person aspects of voting without offering in-person voting itself.
Okay, and locations to do it won't be based on what poll you're at, it won't be based on where you live. Do we think there'll be any confusion with residents saying, I don't know where to go now?
So
Or
the
will it?
vote by mail kits are quite comprehensive. They explain what the process is. They have the envelopes inside if they do choose to mail it back instead of dropping it off. We're gonna have very robust communications campaign around
Do they have
this.
to pay for the envelope or will
They
it
do
be
not
self?
have to pay, so
Okay.
one of the costs that the township will incur is we pay a between $800 and $900 setup fee with Canada Post. And then for any person that does use the return mail ballot, we will be charged for the postage come back. We will be heavily recommending that folks use the drop-off locations as a cost-saving measure for the municipality. But also, I think it provides some of that kind of typical feeling of seeing your vote go
Mhm.
into a drop box, which I think people appreciate. So we're still looking to meet those needs using this different method.
And then to drop off though is a longer, so we're gonna lose the standing in line
Yes.
camaraderie between our neighbors, which is always kind of a cool part of voting, right? Everyone's standing there waiting their turn to get in, chatting.
It also
gonna
reduces
lose
people's
that.
barriers to voting. It reduces kind of any kind of long waits. It provides people with the ability to do it in their own home. It provides a lot more accessibility for
And then they can
folks.
drop off between like, do we have hours? Like it'll be all day,
So
or we're gonna be
at
limiting.
the municipal office, it'll be during business hours. We're gonna look at some opportunities around some extended hours. Probably into the evenings for voter assistance, as well as, again, like on election day, the municipal office would be open until 8 p.m. As the polling centers would have been in previous years, and we're gonna have kind of very similar opportunities to what we had.
And will we have any location? I'm not gonna call it a poll now. We don't call, there's no polls. Will we have a drop off location on the west side of the township?
So at this point, what staff are anticipating is that we would have the location at the municipal office, and we would have a day that we went to Mid Lakes and a day that we went to Morrison.
Because it's very central and eastern. I feel like people on the west side are gonna, they used to do the place, I don't know what it's called,
Union Hall.
the Union Hall, which was very convenient for the folks over there. So maybe staff can just think about using it as a location over on the west side. Well, great. I think a lot of thought's gone into this and you see how it goes.
Those hers?
Yeah. So a couple questions, just from my standpoint, yeah, maybe, and I appreciate the question that Councilor Bailey, because I was kind of the thought when I read it, it's like option A and option B type of thing being equal. option A being the day of the election, come on in and do the traditional way of voting, not in person, and option B being that mail-in that would have to be, issued prior to the election day and then tabulated. So I guess maybe two questions would be, one is, what are other municipalities doing within Wellington County? And I realize, like, so we have a school board trustee that would be part of the Guelph, South Guelph, and that Ward 6 area, as well as the township, as well as the county. And is there any challenges around having different voting mechanisms for people that would be caught up both as a county election as well as a school board? Like, has that discussion been had, or is this really early days for it?
So through you, Mr. Chair, in terms of Guelph offers a very wide variety of voting methods. They offer in person, I believe they offer vote by mail. They also offer in-home voter assistance, and they were looking at internet and telephone voting. So those voters are exposed to a very broad number of voting methods. As for other municipalities in the county of Wellington, Erin, Center Wellington, Mapleton, Minto, and Guelph-Aramasa all use vote by mail as their voting method.
As their primary voting method?
Correct.
Okay, I'm not 100% sold on that as the first vote, but I guess we'll work through it.
I'm looking forward to getting more than that 30% turnout this way, because not having public engagement, you really don't know where you stand as a councillor. I think it's important to have the flexibility that people can vote at their leisure type of thing. I harken back to when we used to stand in line for flu shots. Used to be lineups for flu shots type of thing. Now you used to go to your doctor, you can go to your pharmacist type of thing, no issues at all. I'm sure the uptake is a lot more than standing in line type of thing. So I look at that as a bonus. I'm more partial to internet, but I can understand that we're not there yet. Perhaps in 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's important. We've had these conversations, the hybrid. If you read an article, Erin just approved vote by mail and they did not go hybrid. I do believe people in our community do want to bring in a ballot. Raised a good point on both the west side. I don't know if stats, take a look at it, maybe election day, night, that you can rent the Union Hall and have a drop off. Do we need to have one open on the west side, regular business hours every day for 4 months? I don't think that's necessary, but find some happy medium in there, and this made me very nervous. Once I started doing some research, and nervous because it's change, and I'm worried that the residents would be desiring it, but I see that the other municipalities are doing it. Erin's going to it. I think it's more cost efficient for the taxpayer and it'd be more turnout. And staff have taken a deep dive into how to make it more accessible, and even offering some, I believe we're gonna offer, we'll come to your house if you're not able to vote. I think that's, did you not say that?
No, that's cool.
No, well, okay. But anyways, there's lots of options.
We are now.
Yeah. Get the list. No, anyways, I wouldn't have been supportive just of vote by mail. So having a bit of a dynamic way of voting is great. Get higher uptake, that's awesome, so.
Just one more clarification question. You mentioned 4 months, but what is the duration like when would the mail-in option start for the election? Are we giving folks 4 months to do this? Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, maybe our CAO can help me recall the timing for the last election. I believe it would be early October or late September when the
6 weeks.
See, Mr. Chair, I think last year we did supplement last year with our vote by mail for the first time, or last election. And I believe we mailed out in September, and we added buffers in based on our vendor that we worked with and their recommendations for when, the lead times for mail and returning it back. So it's a little bit of a bigger window, but
Is there a legislative time though that you have to do, or is it's up to the town?
So you have to build in your advanced voting periods through your through your procedures and through bylaw and that sort of thing of when you're having them, but no, you're basing that on what the vendor that we're working with is going to recommend. So it is a little bit of a longer time. Imagine September till voting day.
And is it the same vendor that we used in the past?
We have used this vendor, yes.
And that was all good? Okay, yeah, just a bit of change. See how it goes.
I don't know if it just came to mind, first term. Some people were there when I became mayor and we were in the Hales group. And I believe that was historically how it was done. All the potential elected officials would be there and we would see the results and, that term, well, Dennis and I said some words. Anyhow. I'd like staff to report back on when the results are in, what are we doing? I don't know if I would want, or at least not have the option for the people that are elected to be in one spot to congratulate each other versus just being at their own homes. That may be their desire. Does that make sense?
So do you, Mr. Chair, we will still have that sort of, when we actually process the ballots with the tabulators that we're using, it's still going to be happening here. It's going to be available for candidates to come and watch as is
That's what,
within the legislation, what we're required to do. And then what we can do is have that sort of thing here in chambers and be able to process them and have the results of it.
so it'll be here in chambers.
We
versus
can do it
the-
here in chambers, yeah. I think the reason why we had it at our community center previously is because that's where the election was held and staff were there and we had
Right.
it set up, yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want everything to go disappear, but you're already legislating to do it, so that's good. Okay. So we.
We have a mover and seconder.
All in favor? Carried. I think we're all nervous. Okay. 9.4.2.
Through Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to provide council with the council committee and budget meeting schedule for 2026. Just two items of note for this schedule is that the committee meetings are not scheduled in the fourth quarter due to the municipal and over election. And staff are also proposing a modified budget schedule, which would begin following the election and the inaugural meeting, which is consistent with what we did following the 2022 election. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Read the recommendation?
Yes, so it's to receive the report and the council adopts the 2026 council and committee budget meeting schedule attached to Schedule A, either as presented or amended.
Please, questions? Really? Questions or comments? All in favor? It's carried. 9.4.3.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to provide council with the 2026 conference and delegation schedule. The first upcoming conference is Roma in January, and staff are asking that members of council let us know if they have any interest in attending the conference as soon as possible. And then staff will report back on delegation opportunities as they become available. I'm happy to answer questions.
Great, we'll read the recommendation.
Yes, so to receive the report and the council directs staff to bring this report back when dates are known for delegations in order to determine delegation requests as applicable.
Please, Councillor Hurst, Councillor Bailey. Okay, questions? Favor? That's carried. 4.4.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to seek council's direction to deem the application to lift the holding for D14 Quinnell to be complete. The process for approval of the holding provision differs slightly than bylaw amendments and that there's no requirement for a public information meeting. Further, the reviews have been undertaken by staff and consultants, and there has been confirmation that of the clearance of the required conditions. So staff recommend that council deem the application be complete at this time, as township staff and consultants have determined that all required documents and studies have been provided for the application.
Mover for that, please. Councillor Lewis, Councillor Bailey. Any questions or comments? Councillor Hurst.
Yeah, just one, in reading the report, the holding provisions, I recall with that property with some distance separations and some signage. Just because it wasn't in the report, I remember it being part of the public consultation. Can you just confirm that that's what it was?
So through Mr. Chair, the holding provision for this property was related to the site plan being approved and registered on title.
Okay.
So at this point, the site plan application has been approved, and so that condition will be able to be cleared.
Yeah, my only maybe feedback to the report in the future would be just to reference that would be helpful for background, but I'm good. If staff feel it's adequate, then I'm good with that.
Ms. Bailey, just something.
I'm just wondering, when you circulate, sorry, my notes here. You're circulating advertised notice to folks 120 meters? Is that correct?
Through your chair, so we will be circulating the notice of intention to pass an amending bylaw to remove the holding symbol to properties that are within 120 meters. We'll also put notice in the newspaper, and it will be also posted on the website as well as the active application page.
Okay, but by that point, there's no opportunity for comment? It's just for notification.
Through your chair, the purpose of this is we, at this point, council has gone through the zoning bylaw amendment application notice. The holding was just to put a condition
Yeah.
on related to that. So kind of all the public consultation took place through the zoning bylaw amendment process. So this is more of a notification process.
Nope, that's great, thanks.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yes, sir, it's just on your comments. Are you suggesting that, and I may agree with you, that if we're removing a holding because site plan has been applied to the property, that we'd like to see the site plan in the report? And I'll maybe just ask staff, say, is there a complication with that? Is that privacy or?
So if you, Mr. Chair, the legislation changed a couple of years ago with site plan approvals where council does not have the approval authority anymore over site plans. It's required to be delegated to staff. So there's not an issue with including it, but council wouldn't be in a position to approve it. We also are constrained with a 60-day approval period for site plan. So it really would be including for your information.
I don't, yeah, I guess for me, it's more information. I'm thinking this property in particular, like lots of feedback over the course of time on it. So I think it would be regardless of whether there's a decision being made at council, I think it's just important from a communication standpoint to be very clear as to what it is and what it's not. To within that, yeah, I don't want to make an issue of it. I think for me, it's more what I would maybe, but just like a friendly comment would be is in the appendices of this is to include what the mayor just spoke to.
And I think that's fair because during the public consultation, we might have heard, we want buffering, we wanted this and that, and recognize that staff have timelines to meet. And if there was a technical reason that you couldn't support something that was heard in a public meeting and it's not on the site plan, that would trigger one of the councilors say, hey, I thought we heard a lot about buffering, then we could say, well, technically they're only required X, and that's why X is on the plan, not Y. And I know that we wouldn't be able to change it, but at least it would help guide the decision making or even support of ask from the public for future applications.
Mhm.
Because we'd be able to say, well, you gotta know that we can't ask for a 30-foot high wall straight. That's not, I don't know, you know what I mean? So I think for information would be great. It may open a can of worms and be problematic, but
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just might clarify that, at the point that the site plan agreements are coming, they've been approved and signed, so
they're done.
they will, yeah.
Yeah, they're done.
Mhm.
But it will help council in, future applications, because they'll see what was asked in the public meeting and what the end result is. They'll just help us it may be beneficial.
So through Mr. Chair, so not all zoning bylaw amendments include a holding provision that requires lifting. And the condition being site plan, so that's put on in certain cases, so it does sort of leave, and maybe we can report back on this, like is council wanting to see all site plans or just those associated with the holding provision?
Digest it. I'm not sure. I don't know if we need to see all site. I mean, it's a schematic. It's not, is that problematic to include it in an agenda?
It's not, so long as it's sort of recognized that it's like our
done.
purpose, it's done, so it's for information, not for engagement or like future changes and things like that.
Could there be in our agenda, a link to where we can see the site plan?
Through you, Mr. Chair, We don't include site plans on our active application
Okay.
page.
It's not
So
available.
we don't have this public.
Well, she didn't ask if they're publicly available. Well, she did, she said
For-
agenda.
Well,
But-
somehow it's a live link for us to click on. But not public, like, I don't know.
Anyways, I think staff should take it away. Even if the site plans are available or reference that they're on, you know, council document, share drive, boom, 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 then the council member can go and look at it, recognizing, I think it's important that if it is complete, that is articulated too, that it's not an opportunity to amend this, but just for your information only. Directing them to the plan.
You, Mr. Chair, if we can take that back and see the best process forward,
Yeah.
we'll work on that.
I just want to have one comment there. When we reviewed this application, we were cautioned, not to instruct staff what to do. We just asked them to consider looking at this. So
Right.
what we may have considered may not be reflective in the plan.
Yes.
Basically, based on the consultants
No, I agree.
staff used to render the final document.
For me, I just would look, not specific to this file, but I would like to see what you envision happening and what the actual rules allow us to ask or impose. It would help me when I'm dealing with other applications, because then I wouldn't go down a rabbit hole that's not supported by legislation or consult, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think it's good it be available, and I'll let staff decide how that is available, and I think it's directing us to where it is on the shared drive, so.
I had asked if it was available somewhere, so I was already curious more than
Yeah.
anything. You know, what it ended up looking like.
We do.
Okay, all there. Scary. Alright, 945.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to seek council's direction to